Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Health. As I promised you before, I'm bringing you people from all walks of life who have amazing background in internal medicine as well as in diabetes. One of the top diabetologists, Professor Dr. Akif Büyükbeşe is with us. He is one of the leaders. He's my big brother. He's one of the teachers of teachers. I'm so excited to host him, and we'll be focusing on very important topic about fasting during Ramadan. He's bringing a very important new book to life with very important scholars around the globe, and we'll also learn more about his future projects as one of the top diabetologists in the world, joining us from Gaziantep. Welcome, Professor Akif Büyükbeşe. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, thank you so much. Always honored to be with you and with your team. And thank you for the compliments. I accept it as prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean it what I'm saying, because you are really setting one of the very important topics, especially fasting during Ramadan, and how these patients should perceive what they should do with an open mind from a very scientific standpoint with global experts around the globe. So we are very excited to host you on Global Health, where more than 1 billion people is being covered in more than 49 countries. So welcome again. I will jump right into your background. You have an amazing background. Please don't keep it short. I know you very well. You're one of my teachers. But for our viewers, can you tell a little bit about who Professor Dr. Akif Büyükbeşe is?
Oh, okay. Let me try. I was born in the city where I'm connected to you today. The city name is Gaziantep. Gazi means veterans, as you know, which comes from the independence war during the establishment of Turkish Republic, early days of the Republic, I may say. This is a baklava land of the country where diabetes is very, very common. I may say more than the average of the Turkish nation here. It is the sixth crowded city. I'm graduated from Gaziantep Anatolia College here. And then I decided to focus on medicine. And luckily, I have been to be part of the Istanbul University medical school graduates. And then I focused on intermittent medicine residency program, which is belonging to the same university, but different section, which is Cerrahpaşa School of Medicine. At that time, we are supposed to do thesis, which is not a PhD program, but actually it's kind of similar, I may say, as a clinician. I was lucky enough to work with Professor Hüsrev Hatemi, who is one of the great diabetologists of this nation, I may say. I was so lucky to be with him. He recently passed away, unfortunately. Yes. He was a walking library.
He was.
I can say.
I knew him personally. He was one of the top leaders. Also, as a personality, he was really a kind, generous person, talking really very openly, word by word, so you can really understand what he's saying. May God rest his soul in peace. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun, inshallah.
Yeah, he was more than a physician, also. Yeah, he was a poem writer. I keep his some of his poets in my library as well.
He's like an Avicenna. He's like an Avicenna in many ways, right? He's an alim.
In many ways.
In many ways, he is not just a physician at all. Yeah.
Always when you listen to him, you learn something new in diabetes. Absolutely. And I guess I'm inspired from him. That's why I focused on working on diabetes mostly rather than other endocrinological disorders.
Absolutely.
And later on, I decided to be an academician in different cities in the country. Then I made up my mind to go to US for a while, Albert Einstein College of Medicine, MD Anderson Cancer Center with University of Houston, Texas Medical Group.
Yes.
And then moved to Phoenix, Arizona to work on longevity, but I was at the diabetes section again to understand different modalities of insulin resistance over there. Then I returned back to this country, and beautiful. I was lucky enough to meet with you.
Amazing, and we're so excited to have you. This country is lucky to have you, and this shows your character.
Inshallah.
You're serving back to the people who brought you to this world, who brought the culture. So it shows your character. I really appreciate that. This means a lot to us as a country. I will jump right into, we can talk, maybe we should do a couple episodes about your stories in Phoenix, Arizona, in Houston, Texas, with Dr. Yusra Watemi. Each of them will be, I'm sure, an episode. But let's today focus on intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting has become one of the biggest, I would say, fashion in the world, right? So,
yes.
But can you tell, because I want to focus on the Ramadan part, how is Ramadan intermittent fasting difficult than other intermittent fasting? Can you shed some light on that, Professor Büyükbeşe?
Yeah, well, the term intermittent fasting is very popular nowadays all over the world, including our country, because diabetes is also common here in this country, and obesity as well. So obesity will provoke insulin resistance and then hypertension, together with metabolic disorders, namely diabetes, type 2 diabetes, I mean. First of all, actually, even though intermittent fasting is a fashion which is experienced individually, number one. Number two, nobody monitors you. I mean, there's no obligation. I mean, you may do in alternate days or 3 times in a week, or sometimes once a month or something like that. It's sometimes 16 hours, sometimes 12 hours. Sometimes you drink water, just keep yourself away from the food. And sometimes you keep yourself away from certain foods. But in Ramadan, it's part of the inspiration coming from religious proposals, which is Islam. So for a Muslim population, if you are healthy, you are supposed to have 29 to 30 days, depending upon the lunar calendar, not the calendar that we use today in daily life. That's why it varies. And then each year it changes 10 to 12 days. Again, because the lunar calendar is different than the calendar that we use today. So it may be in summer, it may be in winter, it may be in autumn, but each year it changes 10 days.
I see.
So another thing is that the Muslim population do it together. So your neighbors, for example, do the same thing. Family members contribute yourself. So it becomes kind of a fashion, and it becomes kind of, exercising this type of worship together. And you abstain from your daily habits, including not only the food, liquid consumption. It may be a little bit harder, especially during long days of summer season, for example. It will be a little bit longer, especially in the northern hemisphere, like Canada or Scandinavian countries and United Kingdom, because we know today that there's a growing population of Muslim all around the world, not only in the north, but in the south as well. So, and it is not a 1 day or 2 times or 3 times exercise in a week, but rather it's without skipping the days, if you're not sick, of course, 29 to 30 days. So it is much more different than non-religious proposals intermittent fasting.
I see.
So as a respect to the literature, we say Ramadan intermittent fasting, but to me it is just Ramadan fasting.
I see.
Because each and every day, when you break the fast, when the sun sets, then the iftar meal is prepared, but it's something like a celebration. So fasting converts into feasting, and sometimes it may be troublesome with a burden of the food prepared all day long, especially very hard-working housewives.
I see. So these are really significant differences from a typical intermittent fasting, which is really to the point. Let's talk a little bit about the guidelines, shall we? Compared to the decade ago, what are the areas that now, today, since from decade ago, the guidelines have changed for people, especially with diabetes, who fast during Ramadan?
Well, people who fast Ramadan actually should take into consideration of whether they have really health problem or not. That is one of the very important issue because Allah in the Quran says we are not forcing to do something as an obligation. You have to be healthy enough. And you have to be healthy. And this is not what you feel only, but your doctor will say, of course, yes, your body situation, mentally as well as physically, enough, which makes you suitable to fast a day long.
Sure.
So that is one of the important factors that I may say. Later on, we're going to talk about maybe on diabetes. Even if it is the sickness, and sickness make fasters exempt from fasting, we have discovered since from today, almost a quarter century ago, now that many people are very unhappily do this exercise, do this observance without much difficulty. But still there is a need to understand really what is going on during fasting. So we can divide maybe fasting people with normal physiologic conditions and fasting people with diabetes. And the late discoveries of both conditions, I mean the normal people and diabetes people, we have discovered and published with the international organizations today that they both have some benefits from fasting. So likely we are going to prescribe some people to fast in the very near future.
Okay. And so my question is, in terms of what you're saying about the guidelines, I'm looking into these guidelines keep changing, I understand, but how do these guidelines change? What is the process? And what is the frequency? I mean, how frequent do these guidelines change? And what is the process? Since you're always part of these guideline preparations for our viewers, can you explain it a little bit for us, please?
Yeah. The group that I'm involved in is actually the very largest group. Actually, before we see some publications by British Medical Journal, which is very much respected, one of the, a British community journal. And apart, we have Diabetes Care, which is the official respectful journal of American Diabetes Association. But they published actually just from the observations, kind of inspirations of the very respected clinicians and academicians. But International Diabetes Federation, Diabetes in Ramadan Group, which is IDF-DAR as an abbreviation today, is a more involved group, especially, in the MENA region, which is Middle East and North Africa, as you know, and also South and Southeast Asia population, where Muslim community is profound. So we are much more involved in the Muslim community in order to understand their needs and what they feel when we say, no, you cannot fast. So we actually see that Ramadan is an opportunity to make a better communication with people with diabetes and their relatives to understand it more. One of the striking features that I may say is the food and, the nutrition and fasting and diabetes relationship. So this is missing in a daily, everyday practice of at diabetologists. What I mean by diabetologist is not only a internal medicine physician or endocrinologist, but I'm very much sure that most of the people with diabetes are being seen today by general practitioners, which are family medicine physicians like yourself. So we involve all these groups inside. And the very first time we gathered together in Manchester, United Kingdom. Also, we involved a person from Al-Azhar, university,
Amazing.
an imam and an academician, of course. He gave a lecture on diabetes because he knew diabetes, and then he told us what is missing in our side and what is missing in the religious scholar people's side. So because when the patient comes to you and can I fast, and if you say no, then he starts moving from one doctor to another, one center to another, and also to an imam, for example.
Amazing.
In the country where he lives, like Malaysia or Algeria or Turkey or elsewhere, somewhere in Africa, for example, in order to hear what he wants to hear.
Amazing.
Okay, so instead we came together to have one voice, but listening to each other, what is missing, because when the patient believes in that it is a sin that he is not fasting, then his blood sugar may not go down. Of course, it will again make a very large spike.
Sure.
This we do not want. So in diabetes management, we are not only focusing on food, exercise, and pharmacological therapy, but also sparing time for diabetes psychology as well. And this responsibility as a Muslim, but understanding what is going on is very important. My way, not yet published, of course, is when I deal with a difficult patient who is supposed not to be allowed fasting, for example, but he or she is very keen on fasting. But from the time that I became at the time of puberty, I never missed a single day without fasting, with the tears coming all over the faces. I say, well, first of all, I'm Muslim and you are Muslim, and we have a group and we have a guideline. So Allah doesn't want you to harm your body. It is also simple, right?
Absolutely.
That he or she says and approves. Okay, so while you are expecting a good deed from Allah, because you're fasting, you may get two sins. One of them, you're now in front of a Muslim doctor, and I am talking not from myself, but more than 40 countries today have their experiences and consensus statements as a guideline, and you are refusing your doctor and harming your body, number one. Number two, by not only threatening your body with the fasting, even though you are not allowed to fast, also you are stealing the food from the poor. Because when you skip fasting, Allah also gives you opportunity to feed another person who is poor.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So instead of mathematically +1, you are at +2, -2. So
That's
sometimes they get convinced with this action.
Amazing.
Well, of course, time frame is very important today, especially in Turkey. We do not have spare time to deal with that much, intense with an eye contact communication with our patient groups. But we need to do that because we have seen that whether they fast or not, this type of dialogue is very useful for the sake of people with diabetes for their future life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have seen so many patients, like you're saying, and now I'm learning from you what to say. So thank you very much for that, actually. This is amazing.
Well, we need, now the third guideline is on its way, but this time with collaboration with American Diabetes Association. IDFDR first guideline was actually published in 2016.
Amazing.
This is the 2016 guidelines. But what is happening is that, as much as you bring evidence in life, with the new medications, like we say in medicine, for my colleagues, I'm saying SGLT2 inhibitors or other injection therapies rather than insulin therapy, which are GLP-1 receptor agonists. Maybe some of our patients who are watching us will understand that, which are known to be as obesity drugs.
Sure.
instead of saying that this is not harmful and bringing your blood sugars dangerously, hazardously down, but we need to see it when fasting. So the observation studies are carried on, and then 5 years later, in 2021, we published another one. But today, as collecting the data, we have seen that as much the complication the patient has, today they are more likely to have more experience of hypoglycemia, which will be very detrimental. So we cannot allow them to fast.
Amazing.
And one of the very striking thing also is that until 2026, we were accepting, even though they may not fast, pregnant women to fast if their first hour blood sugar is less than 140, and 2 hours after it is less than 120, and hemoglobin A1C within normal limits. I mean, within the range. But today, definitely, whatever the numbers are, whether it is type 1 or type 2 or gestational diabetes, if you are pregnant, we are not allowing. This is the consensus statement all over the world. This is a very striking new guideline feature. As a respect to your question, it's been a little bit longer.
No, this is perfect. This is perfect. I think we covered really the basis for this episode, and you really did an amazing job. Thank you very much, Professor Akif Büyükbeşe, for shedding us light about not only intermittent fasting, but especially the difference between Ramadan and also the current work that you're doing and the guidelines all the way back from 2016 till now. I think in our future episode, we'll be talking about a very important couple of your projects, but also about your future book that is coming up soon. So at this stage, I want to thank you for your valuable time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Yavuz Selim Sılay. Stay tuned to Afroturk TV with Global Health, and we'll be soon with another episode with Professor Dr. Akif Büyükbeşe about his amazing projects that can also impact Africa as well as the world. Take care and all the best. Bye.